give two shits about. But now you're suddenly invested in these games because you might have a running back or wide receiver on that team that you're playing, and you're like, oh, they need this guy to do well. So I'm watching a Monday night game where I normally wouldn't be watching anything of the NFL at that point in time. So they got you hooked in that sense. So they've interwoven this fantasy culture into everything for ratings. Basically, it's a money grab for NFL to get you to care about more games and get you invested in any other game besides your own team.
Do you think it's a money grab for the NFL, or do you think that DirecTV wants you to pay for NFL tickets so you can watch all these games? Or Buffalo Wild Wings wants you to show up and get an order of wings and some beers while you watch your fantasy teams play out? And
or set up your draft there, you know.
And how pathetic would it be? You imagine getting a tweet or a phone call, or somehow they got a hold of you to tell you that you better do a better job out there. Some random fuck from some city, and you're like, dude, seriously, F off. And it's like, now you listen to some of these NFL players actually comment, you know, about their ability to play on that day because they know that people have them on their fantasy. I mean, it's becoming now a commercial.
Yeah,
these fantasy commercials, and
this would be, you know, what I think it should be instituted, Jester, is I think it needs to be instituted. Like, you've been a coach, or you know, I think they should bring it onto the kids level so the parents have something more vested in. So now they're drafting players in the high school leagues, and you know, when the one player doesn't play or they don't, you know, get a garbage touchdown, now you got these parents all even angry. Like, now, could you imagine them just like texting you, Coach Jamie, I lost my fantasy league because you took my son out. Can you picture
if Pop Warner had a fantasy football program, like they're drafting Timmy and all these stuff from their football? That'd be some funny shit. Pop Warner fantasy football. They would they're like, you know, they're like talking to the kid, they're like handing him a Twinkie and a Capri Sun afterwards, and they're like, listen, Eric, I have you as my running back, and I know that you're 7, but I think you could have scored more than 3 touchdowns this game, and I really need you to step it up. And then, like, taped to the Capri Sun is like a gift card to a toy store or something. And he's like, you know, I just need you to kind of step it up a little bit because I got a lot of riding on this game. So next Saturday when you're playing, little Eric, I need you to score more touchdowns, get the ball more. And
there'd be corruption up the wazoo. You know?
Yeah, this gift card will come with a lot more than just a gift card. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying there, Eric? You know, it's going to come with at least a C note or something. So if you can go out there,
like
and perform,
the principal over the PA system, Coach Jester has been suspended for taking bribes to bench players on opposing fantasy teams.
Yeah, I go to my car, and underneath my windshield wiper is just like an envelope where it says, you know, play Jimmy Moore. And so I'm like, all right, that's what I got to do.
You know what to do.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
As I'm driving in my Escalade that somehow got given to me as a gift, and I'm riding around, and I'm like the head coach of the Pee Wee Scorpions, and I'm out there, and all of my games for some reason just make no sense. That all of a sudden one of the centers is running the ball, and they're like, "Why do you have your center run the ball?" I'm like, "You mind your own business, all right?"
Coach
I got my
Jamie
reasons.
has drafted a bunch of guys on his own team, and he's doing is playing those second stringers to rack up fantasy points. Coach Jester for his own team. We're gonna have to let Coach Jester go because he's not coaching to win; he's coaching to win his own.
Can you picture that? That'd be some funny shit. They're like, in today's Pop Warner news. That could be true, though. I didn't think about that. I might have to look into that. I'll talk to some of these Pop Warner coaches about their motives.
Well, hey, or you know, that your motivation to win ceases to be, hey, let's not rub it in the other team's face. Let's score as many points as we can to win our fantasy league here this week.
Yeah, you're running up the score a lot, and you're like, no, I'm not. I'm getting points for my fantasy team here.
Like, why are you letting that guy go. You're not supposed to draft guys on your opposing team.
Yeah, can you see that? Can you see all the parents and the coaches like on a Sunday afterwards, like they sit like we do and have our little fantasy draft and these little pictures of these kids, and it has like all their statistics and like Jimmy likes to also play with his puppy and not only plays with the puppy but plays baseball and soccer and is known to score at least 4 touchdowns a game. Well, I'm drafting that kid for sure. So that would be.
Hey,
dude,
funny. Like 50% of the pot goes into the funds for leagues for new uniforms and shit, and then on their half, one of the parents or whoever wins the rest of the pot.
That's how you'd get out of. That's how you get out of trouble. It's all for a fundraiser. It's a fundraiser.
50. It's like a 50-50 raffle. 50% goes to the Pop Warner League. The other 50 goes into the parents' pocket who drafts.
Yeah, it goes into supporting the program's future is how we do it. So 50 goes into the program for the kids. The other 50 goes into the administration.
Well, I guess it doesn't. I guess if you ran it like the Yahoo or DraftKings or some shit, you could draft anybody from the Pop Warner League that week, and then all you got to do is, that way it's not like you don't know how many leagues there are. It's just all one free for all, and you just need one statistician for the Pop Warner League who's taking the stats down, and basically it'll be like I play a bunch of free Yahoo Sports. I never win because it's impossible. There's thousands upon thousands of people in there, but I do it for fun. There's soccer, there's baseball, or there was baseball. There's football, basketball, hockey going on at the same time sometimes, and they'll give you these free leagues, and you just you got to choose whatever how many guys for that one game day, or if it's NFL they do it every week, but I mean you could easily set it up. You just got to know the players and
easily set it up. Calm down there, Mister. What are you, a little Gestapo? Gonna run a little underground Pop Warner League.
Yeah, when you do, just let me know so I can play.
I ain't doing it. That's too much work in general. I'd have to know all the kids and their statistics.
I know.
And it's just the people who put these fantasy football together.
It's probably hard enough just to get the, on baseball, like in Pee Wee and shit, you're trying to or in softball when you're playing, just to get somebody to fucking keep score. You can imagine they're trying to do the stats for the kids. Good job with the stats. We got our fantasy league counting on it.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people counting on your stats. And then you find out they're padding this. You find out they're padding the stats. They're kind of bullshitting them.
There'll be some corruption. I think there'll definitely be some corruption in it.
All of that, in youth football in general, there's just a lot of problems with the parents. And can you imagine adding this aspect to it? If someone had a fantasy football program for youth sports, that would be the icing on the cake of just we need to stop it.
I would imagine but how could you not do it then for college too? Could you imagine?
Don't they have a college?
At some
they do
point,
have a college.
Somebody is going to do that. Do they have it for college?
I thought they did.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. It's probably more underground and stuff. I don't really usually see that in the Yahoo Sports, but they probably do. They don't,
I thought they did have a college, like a college fantasy program where people can pick and choose. I thought that was the reality. So
I have to look. Maybe a listener will have to let us know because I haven't seen that yet.
Well, we'll have to go back.
Imagine that would be coming.
Well, let's get to ours. So your fantasy, your team lost to mine this week. You said because you said you lost by half a point, but a win's a win in my opinion. So you can cry all you want.
Yeah, and we do it a little different way. So we try to give something to play for. You're on the bottom bracket now, consolation. You knocked me down. I was fighting for the third spot, so I would face the division winner in your league, who's the only team going in the playoffs. On my side, there's 3 of us. My brother being the top team, he's number 1 seed. My nephew is number 3 because your division winner is a guy I used to work with, and then I'm 4 because I would have been 3, but you beat me, so by virtue of head-to-head tiebreaker, my nephew beat me twice. So
you said I'm on a consolation, so I don't get anything.
So you won't get anything monetarily, but playing, obviously you come back next year. So our consolation.
What the hell did I give you money for? I can't believe I paid you. That's it. I want it back.
So our consolation is basically the winner of the consolation bracket will get to choose a keeper on his team. So I changed it up a little bit where it gives you something to play for. Say you drafted the guy who ends up being like one of the top scorers, but you got lucky, you drafted him in the 6th or 7th round. Well, now he gets to be on your team for the equivalent of your 6th or 7th round pick last year. Or if you were me, say if I had Todd Gurley and then I didn't make the playoffs, I could fight to keep him as my number 1 pick. So if I draw or get the 8th pick, where Gurley would normally have been a number 1 pick, my number 1 first round pick will happen automatically on the 8th pick. So nobody will be able to draft the guy you choose if you win the consolation bracket. So it's a little something to play for them. But I mean, in the past we've done some ideas like, hey, the loser of everything has his team named, but then I've had problems where the guy don't return. So, that's not as fun if the team is not back. So this, I think, is a little something cool. It gives you something to play for.
See, whoever's listening out there for this fantasy football thing, that's why it sucks, because it doesn't matter. I beat him, and then I still don't get into the playoffs. That is a bullshit. That's what I claim.
Well, you had a 5-9 record. Did you see any?
So what? Maybe I just had a tough schedule.
Playoffs and real football.
Yeah, I think everybody gets to play. Go back to youth sports again. So I think everybody gets to.
My nephew has a league where everybody is seeded in the playoffs, and then you just play each other. But I don't know if that's as fun.
I was just in that too, and I lost, so it didn't really matter because I had to play someone.
Got eliminated in the first round.
Yeah, because my guy sucks. That's why. Oh, my guy was not as good as the other guy. The other guy had an amazing day. See, again, that's the other one. There's fantasy football for you. That it sucks because out of nowhere, some guy just has like an amazing day playing, and you're like, son of a bitch, you were scheduled to win. They give you like these potential points you're going to get this whole
the
thing.
Projections are the big thing, which I'm not sold on.
You're gonna get like 130 points. You're like, hell yeah, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this guy gets 130 and you get 10. So I was like, oh, the frick, how'd that happen? And they say, well, that's just the way it goes. That guy had an amazing day. And so you spend, like you said, you spend all your time just focusing on these players instead of watching the game. So it's definitely a pain in the ass to play fantasy football.
It raises your blood pressure and gets you yelling at least gets me yelling at the TV for particularly no reason at all. And when the new week starts, you hope to forget about it. But some of those losses, if you lose, like. Here's the thing that it's dangerous now, okay? We had a game that seemingly was meaningless to you, but made a difference to me on my end. Might seed you differently in a consolation, but for me, it seeded me different here. Now I face a team that if I would have faced them every week of the year, my brother, who had the best team and best record. So now I face a team where I have only won 5 games. So if I would have played them all 14 weeks, as we did 14-week regular season, I would have been 5-9 against my brother. But the guy I would have faced had you not beat me, I was 8-6 against him if I would have played head-to-head every week. So the interesting thing is here now that makes a huge difference. Now if my brother tanks for some reason, I would have faced the other guy, and we don't know this. This is going to be determined in week 1 of our playoffs, which is week 15 in NFL, and our week 2, which is our finals, is week 16 of the. So nobody plays usually fantasy football in week 17. I think my brother said in one 12-team league he's in, they play for kind of a prize at the end in week 17. So kind of gives people something to play for. Everybody's in play. Basically, the high scorer of week 17 gets some sort of prize, but that's only because the fees in that league must be ridiculous. I don't know, in the hundreds of dollars of what the prize is at the end, but for us in our little piddly league, there's not much on the line. So
piddly league. I don't know about you, but I put $300 into this league. I don't know if they call it piddly.
There's no such fees that are like this, but something to play for on the consolation. And so, I mean, you have something on the line which could set you up, to win next year. So, in this one,
stop trying to sell me on this. Yeah, I got screwed.
In this week, there's 4 teams that make the playoffs. We're in an 8-team league, for example, just using us. And usually in fantasy, it could be 8, could be 10, could be 12. It gets harder progressively, obviously, by the more teams you're in. But yeah, guys can get hurt. Guys can let you down depending on where you drafted them or who you're playing every week. It's definitely could be nerve wracking and blood pressure rising induced.